You know how to hold it all together, but when it comes to your relationships, something's always missing. Welcome to Emotionally Wealthy, a podcast for high achievers who are ready to trade emotional disconnection for clarity, fulfillment, and relationships that are nourishing, not draining. I'm your host, Karen Conlon, licensed therapist, transformational coach, and your guide in turning insight into action. Are you ready for it? Let's do this. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Emotionally Wealthy podcast. Today's episode is a little bit different than what you've been hearing. I'd like to introduce you to my husband, Jonathan Conlon. He and I have been together for almost 20 years. We have a beautiful daughter together, and we decided that we'd like to do this once in a while, maybe more often than once in a while together. First of all, Jonathan, you want to say hi to everybody?
You just wanted to co-host.
I did want to.
You want to co-host.
You're a good co-host, though.
Well,
I think.
we have lots of good discussions, the two of us.
We do.
And,
yeah.
The more and more we talk while this whole idea of the podcast, which has been growing for a long time, but we find ourselves locked into these discussions about what you're doing or who you're interviewing or whatever. And we're like sitting there having a great conversation about it because I'm learning. I'm watched you go through school and, have always been adjacent to your therapy knowledge and such. But
you're like
hey, let's just
pseudotherapist.
Maybe we should just record this and see what happens.
I agree. This has been a long time coming, actually, folks. We have been talking about this for quite a while. We have joked about it. We've been through our own therapy. We've been through our own individual and couples therapy. We have, as you can imagine, been through many different cycles in our relationship. And what we have found is that the stuff that we talk about, the stuff that I talk about in the therapy space and in coaching with my clients very much comes alive, oftentimes even in our own homes. And so one of the things that for me is really important about having you here with me, Jonathan, is that I talk a lot about authenticity, and, being authentic is not something that comes easily. It's not something that has come easily to me because I've had to pull back the layers of childhood stuff,
oh, haven't we all?
Oh, yeah, just a little bit. Yeah, we've been through it. And so we've been exploring these things together. And the stuff that we talk about is not just theory. The stuff that we talk about is real life. After therapy, couples therapy, for example, we will end up talking about whatever it is that we talked about. For me, having Jonathan join me, having you join me here, and allowing yourself to be open and vulnerable and also lean into authenticity, which again is not really an easy thing, means so much to me. And I think my hope is that our listeners will learn from us, and then we continue to grow and learn from each other as well.
Well, that's what's kept us going.
Yeah, 100%.
It's something that is, listen, it's been a joy to see you pull this together, and, you always go to the nth degree. And it's, while I've done my own fair share of podcasting and such, it was more just get on and be authentic and try to, and just wing it.
Mm-hmm.
That's not your MO at all. But it's been impressive to see you pull it together, like even your systems and stuff that you already have in place. So I'm thrilled to be a part of it. I hope I can uphold my end of the bargain here. We'll see.
Well, the nice thing for you is that you just need to show up.
I just need to show up.
I do all the hard work behind the scenes, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's true. And they do say 90% is just showing up. So I'm going to lean into that 90%.
Oh, yeah, you just lean in.
How's that?
Yeah, that's nice. That works. Sure. Being that it's our first podcast together, we didn't do a heck of a lot of planning. We thought it was really important to share part of our lives with you as much as we can, in hopes that maybe some of the things that we talk about will resonate, will also help you through whatever adversities life is throwing at you. We will be discussing things like what it is like to be in an interracial marriage. We're constantly kind of educating each other And it's not a one-way street. We are educating each other about each other's experiences. And I think that's a really important part of any marriage, regardless of identity or culture, all the things that come into it. At the end of the day, it comes down to being able to communicate. We haven't always done that great. We've had our moments like, I mean, it's almost 20 years.
Yeah, it is almost 20 years in May. I would say communication like we have it now came from turmoil, came from necessity at the end of the day. I think we were very fortunate, and a lot of couples, they always talk about the honeymoon phase where
Yeah.
you're first getting together. And I think if you find the right person, that honeymoon phase can last for years, and that's really what I feel like we were in. And we had our daughter a year after being married. We were together 2 years before we got married. I feel like that honeymoon phase lasted for a good 5 to 7 years
Hmm.
for us. It's good and it's bad, right? I always look at the silver lining. It's great because you're in the honeymoon phase and it's great. Everything's rainbows and butterflies to some degree. And we did some therapy before we even got married. But I think that's why we had to grow together on the communication side
Yeah.
in order to increase our longevity together.
Yeah.
Our love has not waned, but our communication waned for some time there, where we found ourselves in crisis mode and we
Yeah.
had to piece ourselves back together and us back together. And I'm proud of what we've been able to do. And I'm also awake to the concept of it's a constant curiosity, it's a constant growing, communicating. It's not just it's never going to be set it and forget it, but that's what makes it fun too and interesting. And that's what life's about.
Yeah. And I think that to your point about communication, it sounds like it's not true, but it was kind of rainbows and butterflies in a way because we rarely fought, right? I mean,
Yeah.
am I like,
I couldn't even tell you our first fight when it was, like, because it even went
oh,
even.
I remember.
Uh,
I remember before we got married, it was when you went out and the whole phone thing,
oh,
remember? And then,
geez.
but anyway, I remember.
We're not
That's
gonna.
the whole
That's
point.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm not gonna get into that.
Yeah, that's fine. We're not going to get into it. It doesn't matter. But the point is, I recognized um, before getting married, there were some things. And by the way, I should talk about this. I was married. I was with my ex for a total of 8.5 years. One of the things that I learned from that relationship is that there are things that you have to talk about. There are things that you have to discuss. There are things that need some clarity before you make that next move. And so there were some things in our relationship that I noticed early on that I had some concerns about. And I said to Jonathan, "Hey, let's go to therapy together." And I don't know, were you alarmed that you're like, we're not even married? Like, why are we going to therapy?
I was more curious than, like, I wasn't concerned whether we had explicitly talked about certain things or not. We were so in sync that I wasn't worried that, like, something was going to come out in our couples therapy that, like, was going to be a deal breaker. And
What did
like
you think though? What did you think it was about? Like, I mean, I felt like I needed a third party to help me. That's how I
yeah, I
remember
mean,
feeling.
I think to some degree I was curious, number one, but I was looking at it through the lens of, listen, you've been married before. If this is something that you feel is necessary um, because of your previous experience, then why wouldn't I do it? I'd never done therapy at that point before, like, one-on-one therapy or couples therapy. So I didn't know what to expect.
Mm.
But as my life has dictated and the different decisions, that's never really stopped me from doing anything. I always just kind of like, okay, well, let me just see what this is about. So I really walked in with no preconceived notions other than what you see on TV and such, because I'd never done it before and I was genuinely curious to see what the hell was going to happen. So,
So when we went in there, what was it like for you?
I mean, to be completely honest, and that's what we're here to be, as authentic as I couldn't tell
Yeah.
you what we really talked about
Yeah.
at this point. And this is a running theme, just so everybody knows. I don't have a great memory. I try to not impose that self-limiting belief on myself, but it's proven time and time again that you have the memory of an elephant and I have the memory of a mouse. So we complement each other.
This is a true story, though.
We complement each other in that regard because I can count on you for that. But it sometimes does cause problems because I swear that I remember something one way or the other way, and you're like, I don't really have a leg to stand on because your memory has always proven to be much better. So, but I could not tell you like specifically what we talked about in that therapy space.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because I was in that honeymoon phase still, because I was like, I don't remember anything coming out that was like, oh, like an aha moment or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
You probably remember exactly what we talked about, but I
Wow. I
can't
mean,
even.
it was a long time ago. I mean, I can't say.
I consider that a win.
I mean, really, I
Hey,
don't
you got to
know.
take what you can get.
I
Go
guess,
ahead.
yeah, I guess so. That's good. You take that. That being said, no, I can't say that I remember exactly what it was that we talked
Well, you
about.
were the instigator, so so
Yes.
you knew at least, maybe not remember what we said or what was, but you remember the themes behind it. I'm sure.
Yes. And interestingly enough, the theme behind it, while I don't remember the exact particulars, I do remember that it had something to do with the planning of our wedding. There were some issues that had come up. I noticed that you had a really difficult time. I don't know if at the time I thought it was like standing up for yourself or standing up for what you wanted or, just wanting to please everybody. But I had a red flag around that. It felt very not safe, emotionally safe to me at the time because I came from an upbringing where my desires and my needs emotionally were never, very rarely listened to. There was always my mother's needs that came first. That is just how I grew up. And so when I uh, experienced some tenets of that where, you know, I felt like, oh, everybody else is more important than me, right? That feeling was super uncomfortably familiar and it hit a really deep nerve. And I remember starting to panic. I started to panic about us. I started to panic about, oh no, what if I am going to marry someone who does this again? And by the way, in my first marriage, I experienced something very similar. There was a codependence with the mother relationship. And it wasn't until later in going through therapy and my own therapy and figuring it out that I noticed, wait a minute now, this happened in my first marriage. Now it's happening in my second relationship and then marriage. Um, I am the common denominator in both of those situations. So what is this about? I mean, listen, not to simplify it here, but I did realize that in some ways I was, and this is something that happens, folks, like you reenact. Oftentimes you sometimes choose partners that there's a part of them that is a reminder of a situation or something from your childhood that you were not able to reconcile with or that you weren't able to pick.
Right.
And
What's that saying? You marry your unfinished business or
yes,
something like that?
yes,
Right.
yes. For me, that unfinished business, that part of you, not the whole of you, just that part of you was my experience growing up, always feeling like everything else in my mother's life, the adults in my life that were the closest to me and who I'm supposed to be the most important to and the ones that were supposed to be caring for me and putting me first were actually not doing that. And um and it's interesting because if I If I think back and I look back at my mom's relationships, there was a pattern in her own relationships where I saw that as well. I know about
Mm,
her upbringing and her own issues around this with my grandmother and grandfather. So there was some tension there as well that I learned about just, many years later. It is something that I did see as I saw her navigate both intimate and friendships.
right. Same sort of pattern.
Same sort of pattern. She went about it, of course, differently than I did. She's, a different person, but I did see that. And so it was a pattern that was repeated with me in that I never felt chosen. And in my household, from a very young age, I was, the translator, the bookkeeper, the this, the that. And again, this was out of necessity. I did have a lot of adult responsibilities,
Right.
some things that just come naturally when you are first generation here, and you're the one that speaks the language of the country that you're in. And so you're the one reading the letters. And yeah, I remember being 11 years old or 10, 9, and like reading these letters, trying to translate.
Hmm.
I mean, I had no idea what these words meant. I guess the silver lining in that is that I did become extremely resourceful,
Yeah.
and I rarely say that there's anything that I can't do. That doesn't come from a place of arrogance. It comes from a place of I needed to be resourceful
Yeah. And
in order to
independent,
yes, and
and
independent in
even
order to
to
survive.
go
Yeah.
after things that interested you, like languages and such. You
Mhm.
pushed into that very much of your own volition, which is again baffling to me. But yeah, and in my childhood, and we've talked about this many times, is the similarities between the dynamics in our households, although context very different.
Mhm.
Being where I was very much the people pleaser, the obliger, the peacekeeper in my household, growing up between me and my brother, always at, butting heads. I was parentified just like you were, by my mother mainly, but more from like a different
Mhm.
take on it, more an emotionally supportive parentification, like,
Sure.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's a lot of big words next to one another, but,
Well,
um,
but like explain that, right? Like what does that mean,
well,
right? To somebody
yeah,
listening.
somebody my mom confiding things in me that at a very young single digit age, that she shouldn't have confided in me. But her struggling and me knowing because she was so open with me what she dealt with as a child and being parentified at for herself so young because her biological mother passed of MS when my mom was 13, and her having six brothers and sisters. So her and her older sister having to be really become the mothers of the household. So it was just natural for her to think that, maybe I was
Old enough?
old enough or could handle it or whatever because
Sure.
she had to handle it. And
Mhm.
because her mom was sick the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 years, I think, of her life where my mom was taking care of her as well. So from a very young age, there's a lot of those similarities, not in the context, but in the uh, sort of the root of it,
Mhm.
where we were both put in a position very young in life, where in positions that we shouldn't have necessarily been put into. Every time we talk about these things, it's always, you hear all the time about breaking the cycle.
Mhm.
And the hopes are is that in any parent's mind is I just want to do things a little bit better than my parents did in whatever regard. And that's not to vilify the parents. It's just we all make mistakes. We
Mhm.
all, and we've joked about this many times. You just want to screw them up enough so that they can handle it when they get older through therapy or
Yeah,
whatever.
because it
Like you,
doesn't matter
you
how
don't want
good
to
you
screw them
do.
up too
It
much.
doesn't matter how good you do. I tell my daughter this, and she's like, "Really, mom? That's great coming from you, a therapist." I tell her, I'm like, "Listen, at some point, you're gonna grow up and you're gonna complain either like I hugged you too much, I didn't hug you enough. I loved you too much,
Mhm.
I didn't love you enough. I let you go out, I didn't let you go out enough."
Yeah,
I mean, there's going to be something.
always.
Right? So we just have to give ourselves grace and just know that we will screw up. That being said, there are many opportunities for conversations for role modeling behaviors to our kids.
Mhm.
But before we can do all those things, we need to work out our stuff. Like it starts with us. It's not them. It can't start with them. Like they come into our lives
Yeah.
and they absorb what we give them. And also, Jonathan, back to your point about um, even though we had different upbringings, we had similar struggles. I think when I think about what brings us together in that way, and what we have in common is that I think from a very early age, we were both made to be emotional caretakers and absorbers of our mothers, right? Who were both to a certain degree, emotionally immature,
Yeah.
as you so well explained, right? I mean, that made so much sense to me, right? That she went into an adult role at a very young age. So, um, for her being 13, talking to a 7-year-old about adult things made sense, right? Because that's what she did at 13. She had to talk to her younger siblings about like very adult things,
Mhm.
whether she was prepared to or not. And so this makes a lot, I mean, this makes so much sense. If you've ever worked with me in the therapy space, or if you hear this podcast, you'll hear me talk about corrective experiences because it's what we need in order to allow us to see what we're doing that's no longer serving us,
Mhm.
and where are the things that that's from childhood. We need to let that go and come up with new and better ways of coping. But I think for us, and I don't know if you agree with this or not, but from my POV, it is that we were both made to be responsible for these two adults' emotional well-being. I heard or saw relationships with different partners and different scenarios, and I was the one giving her advice. Like, do you think that that was nice of that person to say that?
Yeah.
I'm like 12
Yeah.
saying to my mom, that's not what a good friend says, instead of her saying that to me.
Yeah, I think the main difference one of the differences is we talk about the Midwestern everything's okay and everything's gonna be fine or whatever, and
I mean,
that
I've
sort of
become allergic to that.
I know, I even hate it coming out of my mouth,
God, everything's okay.
but it's
Oof.
get the first step is getting to, acknowledging there's a problem,
Hmm.
and if you would have asked me when I was even in my 20s, like, "Oh, well, like, what was your childhood like?"
I have asked you, and you're like, "Oh, it's amazing."
Yeah, yeah, it was, "Oh, I grew
But I
up in
can't
an"
remember the first 10 years.
I then
That's trauma,
I grew
folks.
I grew
That's trauma.
uh, I grew up in a nuclear family, and yeah, me and my brother fought, but it was, it was best of friends, worst of enemies kind of
Mhm.
thing, and blah, 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 blah. And, peeling back the layers of, okay, but then this happened. And that has taken, I mean, I'm 48 now, and it's only taken hold over the last 10, 12 years or whatever when
Mhm.
I got into therapy and it's like another saying they say, well, if you want to, figure you want to bring the problems, go to therapy, and the acknowledgement of it. But it also comes with then solutions, then you figure out, okay, well, what do I do to change this about myself, and figuring out what's healthy for you, et cetera, and whether that's a relationship, a marriage, or how you're treating your kids or whatever. It's just that that light bulb goes on. You're like, yeah, I need to think about this a little bit more. I need to, and I've had the explicit benefit of having been there with you at my side and me at your side when you're going through your schooling and in your private practice, and when you were fully, employed into at the school, at the hospital, to the private practice. And
The
like you said
transitions.
earlier, like I was a therapist adjacent, or, I benefited a lot from that. And it's still something that I struggle with in terms of, whitewashing things, or everything's okay, or not acknowledging my feelings about things. I still struggle with it. It's not like, "Oh, go to therapy and you're just gonna fix yourself," or fix a problem or a perceived problem or whatever. But at least there's an acknowledgement of I have certain dynamics in my head that happen, and being aware is that first step to like, okay, is this something that my past is and my I don't want to say upbringing, but like the dynamics that have existed in my life is influencing how I'm thinking about this problem,
Mm,
how I'm thinking about how I responded to was I triggered because of something from my past that, like just helping connect the dots.
mm-hmm,
I'm thrilled to be at that place in my life where, listen, as you get older, you start to frankly care less what other people think of you
mm-hmm,
and care less if they think, oh, you're being emotional or you're being, I don't know, sensitive around something or what have you.
mm-hmm. Are
But
those
I,
the things that you grew up with? Like, are your beings? Because
Well, that's very much the Midwestern thing is like,
right.
don't be emotional about things. Like everything's going to be fine. And like, you're blowing things out of proportion or you're putting too much credence in this or that or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's very, at least in my experience, I can't speak to every Midwesterner that I self-identified Midwesterner, but at least in my circle, in my bubble that I grew up in, whether it's family or friends, that is an underlying theme. And I think Midwesterners just in general will sort of acknowledge that even if they
Mm-hmm.
don't do anything about it or whatever. Sometimes now I will pause and I'll be like, I need to think about this. And I still have reactions, knee jerk reactions that are still in the thread of these issues, right? Or of these characteristics, let's say, from left over from my upbringing or whatever. And that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But and it happens with you, it happens, with anybody, and I don't know if I'll ever get to the point where I can stop any knee-jerk responses from happening or triggers from happening. We'll see, but my sense is that you're always subject to going back to where you came from, or
Yeah.
going back to that place where if something just lands the wrong way with you and triggers you, you're going to have a knee jerk response to it that may not be accepted. Anybody that is trying to do better is going to make a mistake in their brain,
Yeah.
from their perspective.
Yeah.
But if you're with somebody that can roll with that and talk through it, of course, there's fatigue comes into that, etc. But I'm fortunate to have you.
Thank you for saying that. I feel the same way. And we're not just saying that because we're doing this podcast. I mean, this is something that we say to each other privately, which is why I think it's important that we now also, if this is what's coming naturally, that we share it here too. We've said that to each other in private. And I feel very fortunate as well for all the reasons you've mentioned, is I feel like we have made a decision and continue to make a decision every day to choose to be in this marriage. And, this is all a choice. There's culture and there is religion and there are expectations socially, whatever it is. There's so many things that oftentimes make us feel like we don't have a choice. We have to be in this. We're stuck. Whether it's financial situations, maybe we have children. I mean, there's just so many things. But at the end of the day, marriage is a choice. The way that you behave in it then and treat each other, that is a choice. I think that's one thing that we've said to each other is that we are choosing each other every day. And there are days when we've had our crises where that choice is not so clear anymore, or it's like, well, am I choosing? I don't know that I want to do this. I mean, I've had that. We both have been in during different times where we've had a crisis and it's like, well, wait, what are we doing here? And I don't want to speak for you. I'm speaking for me here. At the end of the day, we make this decision and we've come together and have said, no, I choose you. I choose us. I choose this family. And that means that we're going to work through it in whatever way we can. And part of what's happened, I think, is that we have learned to, well, I don't want to say that we've managed each other's triggers, but if something happens, when we're triggered, like I think we've gotten so much better at understanding what's happening in the moment.
Yeah. Well, I think
Right?
acknowledging each other's triggers.
Yeah.
It's so at least if something happens and one of us is triggered, there's some grace given to the response to that like knee
Mm,
jerk response.
yeah, that's a great way of putting it. Yeah.
Where we're
Yeah.
like, okay, like I know he doesn't mean that or she doesn't mean that. Like it's a it we we hit on something, let's take a break, we'll talk about it,
Yeah.
talk about it later or whatever, or like reset somehow,
Yeah.
you know.
And then the other thing too that I think with that, along with that, is we have, I think, gotten very good. At least I feel that way about you towards me, is that we've gotten very good at understanding what it is that the other person needs in that moment. I know with me, when I am upset, I need time. I need
I fight
distance.
with that. I
Oh,
know.
I know it's
I
a
hate it.
struggle for you. I
I hate it.
know. I know it's so hard for you. And it's
I
one of the
just want
things.
resolution.
I know.
Can't let this sit.
It's been such an issue for you.
It really has.
I know. You've
It
done such
really
a good job
has.
though.
Yeah. Well, it goes, but listen, it goes back, and we've talked about when I was a kid, when I would see my parents fight
Mm.
and my dad would walk away.
Mhm.
So my dad was like you, where he needed to cool off. He knew if he stayed in that room with my mother, he would say something that he didn't really mean, or he didn't, like, out of frustration,
Yeah.
and I recognize that now, but I think that's why, honestly, I saw what that did to my mom. And what my mom's response to that was total frustration
Mhm.
around, like, oh, he's just walking away,
Mhm.
and like how that made her feel, like he wasn't showing up for her, like he wasn't wanting to work through it and resolve it.
Mhm.
So so it's not
So she had that
actually.
anxiety about, like, wanting and needing for things to be resolved
Yeah,
in the moment. So
yeah,
that's what you
yeah,
saw,
yeah. And
right?
I got her because I was left there with my mom,
Mhm.
and I absorbed that idea that, oh, if, like, taking a break or a breather or letting one person walk away for a bit, seeing what that did to her and the frustration, well, I don't want to do that. I
Mhm.
want to resolve it. Let's resolve it right now, here and now. Let's get this,
Mhm.
you know. Now I acknowledge that that's not how you work. Sometimes
Yeah.
you need your time. And I get that, like, on a cognitive level, but, like, when you're in it, in the emotional, it's like, no, like, let's talk about it. Let's see, like, I wanna work through it. I wanna let's solve the problem now.
Mhm.
And it's really hard sometimes to just, like, back off and be like, "Okay, like, if she needs her space, she's not divorcing me and, like, driving away,
Mm.
like, it'll be okay. She just needs a breather." And I still struggle with it at times, but for the longest time, I fought that
Oh, I
really, really.
remember. I mean, there was a time, like in the very, very beginning of our relationship, that you used to stand at the doorway, right? And not in a threatening way or anything like that, but you just to stand and block me, like in a playful way, be like, "Nope, you're not going. Come on," And
Oh,
I
you got
remember,
pissed.
oh, because you can just imagine, right? Like I'm in the throes of anger with you, and now you're physically, not just physically, like not letting me move through, you're also joking about it. Like, oh, come on. No, we need to talk. Right. Like all these things that because you're triggered
Yeah,
in the moment
yeah,
and you're responding from that place of being a 6, 7, 8, 9 year old. Because think about that, right? Like who does that? It's you're coming from a place of that's what a kid does, right? Like, no, you get in the way. No, you can't go anywhere. And trying to cope with it from that place and not realizing that what you're actually doing is pushing the person away, pushing me away, making me angrier. I remember one time specifically, um, you did that. You only did that a handful of times because then there was just one last time and then you didn't do it again where I became so livid. I don't remember what I said to you, but I know the feeling got through because whatever it was that I said to you, the hurt on your face, I still remember it. Like you got this look of first of all shock, second of all incredulousness, just what? And then followed by hurt. You were so hurt, you became tearful. I remember like the succession of those what I thought, I
mhm,
was seeing, and then you moved away. And I later thought about it and I realized, oh my gosh, she really didn't realize, first of all, that like he's not listening to me, like that, because that was a culmination of feeling like you're not listening to me. Like I've told you this in the past, like don't do that.
Right.
Do not do that. It's not funny and it's not fun. And you kept doing it. And then when it wasn't until we hit like that critical point that time, I think it made you realize that this was not a joke. Like I was not joking, obviously, but it also made me realize that you really didn't understand what you were doing
Mm.
and the impact that it was having on me.
I mean, I remember that's not something I, did for a long, like did many times, like stand in your way because you made it abundantly clear that that was not uh, appropriate. But I don't remember what was said.
Yeah, I don't
Uh,
remember the exact words either,
yeah, yeah.
but I
But
remember the look. I
yeah.
remember the look in your
Well, and
face.
unfortunately, sometimes that's it's like a shock to the system kind of is needed sometimes in order to like get through to somebody like myself where I think I grew up with this being the peacekeeper in my family and like I was always the humorous one to like get people like to dispel tension when you are in that role as a child. Perhaps I don't know, I'm not I ain't no doc, but
Mhm.
perhaps that transcends into personal relationships as you get older where you feel like you can solve the problem. Sometimes you bring problems to me and you're like, listen, I don't need you to solve this problem for me. I just want to talk about it. I just
Mhm.
need to get it out. I just need to,
Mhm.
and it's just because you need to communicate. You need to talk to somebody about it just to work through it through your own head. And you don't, you're not coming to me looking for a solution
Mhm.
or for me to fix anything or whatever, but I'm a big fixer. Like I'm a
Mhm.
big uh I think I can solve this problem. I can figure it out. I do that in business. I do that in my, in any respect, whether it's fixing something outside or in the house or in a relationship. And it serves me well in certain cases, but
Mhm.
there's many things that serve you well in one element, but they don't serve you well in another element. And I'm getting better at this, but the idea that I have to get to crisis mode
Mhm.
before I like have that epiphany or an aha moment of like, oh, and I
Mhm.
hate that about myself.
Mm.
Like that bothers me. I don't want to be like that. It's not a good quality to have or a good problem or whatever. Silver lining, it keeps me going even when things are tumultuous and such, like in business or whatever. Like
Yeah.
there's a resiliency to that. But in a personal relationship, in our relationship, it has caused problems where we have to reach it like a crisis mode before it's like I wake up to
Mhm.
it. And I'm getting, like it's one of the things
I
that I work on.
Yeah,
It's
and I
one of
think
the
you need
things that
to give yourself a lot of credit. I mean, you've come a really long way in that respect, and because I learned that um, my voice didn't matter, my needs didn't matter as much. My part in contributing to that was that I would kind of say what I wanted and say what I needed, but I didn't dig my heels in enough. I didn't stand up for myself enough. I would give up after a while. I would feel, what's the point? Nothing's going to change. It
Mhm,
doesn't matter. And all the things from childhood about like everybody else is more important anyway. If I want to keep this relationship, I have to just deal with this. And it's a moment in time. And I would make all kinds of excuses. But that was my part in it too, is that I also did not articulate enough how important this was to me. And so I think that we were both kind of doing our thing.
mhm.
And so
Yeah,
that's why I
which did
say
not serve us.
it didn't serve
That
us. And I think, that's why, like, there are things that, yeah, we don't like about ourselves, that in some ways they serve us and in other parts of our lives they don't. And when I work with my clients at therapy and or coaching clients, whenever something like this comes up, I say, listen, this is a strength in many ways. So this is not about changing you. This is rather about understanding in what areas of your life this is a strength right? In what areas of my life is this helpful?
Mhm.
And then learning when to dial it down or when to change, right? And what that means is looking at the areas in your life where it doesn't work, right? So that's all it is as far as I'm concerned. It's I don't think it's a good or bad quality. I think it's a great quality, just like any quality, right? Like it's
Yeah,
a
it just
great
depends on the
quality.
context.
Yeah,
Depends on what you're talking about.
yeah,
Yeah.
depends on the context and depends on what you're talking about. And my part in helping you with that, because now again we become aware of each other's
Mhm.
things, right? And so just like now to give me space when I need a minute or two, I also know to say to you beforehand, I don't need you to solve this for me, I just want to talk. So I may have that preemptive statement for you
Mhm.
to just let you know. And I think it helps the quality of our conversation because you don't have this anxiety. Not that you are anxious, because you're not an anxious person, but you don't have that anxiety around like, oh, let me give her a solution or let me fix it for her. It's like, I'm helping you by letting you know I don't need or want you to solve this. I just kind of want to
Yeah.
brainstorm or talk through it.
Yeah, it takes the pressure off.
And it takes the pressure off. So I think that that's part of also learning how to be
Yeah.
in a
Well, at the end of the
relationship.
day, the if you're gonna have a relationship that spans decades, you get out of the honeymoon phase, however long that lasts, you have to manage that's managing the relationship, is
Yeah.
learning each other's triggers, learning each other's, you know, typical characteristics in a
See
conversation,
how people
or
cope, how they,
how they
yeah,
cope,
yeah,
what will induce anxiety, et cetera, et cetera. And you have to work it together. It's almost like, how do you fit together
yeah,
so that it works as well as it can work?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
And, again, almost 20 years in, we are still working. I feel like it's funny because all this stuff, like you said, we have talked so much about so many different things, and we really get into the nitty gritty of conversations and stuff. But, this feels different. This is interesting. Like we're sitting here, like in front of a mic, and we're like, we have this camera going. Even though we've talked about all this stuff before, there's something very, I don't know, for me at least, there's something that's both vulnerable, but also freeing about knowing that we're going to put this out into the world and that for me, if it helps one person, if it helps one couple, if it helps one family,
mhm.
man, I mean, I just got goosebumps thinking about that. And that's what I hope to do as we do this. And also that, I don't know, like, I still also like you a lot
God
as a
bless you.
person. I do. I don't know. Um,
I don't know how you put up with me.
Yeah, it must be this cardigan that I got
It
you for
is.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought you were gonna look like Mr. Rogers, but you don't. You're like a
That's good.
sexy Mr. Rogers,
All
I guess.
right.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Woo woo. I really was looking forward to this because we have a lot of really good conversations as it is. And I was like, that'd be cool. And then I love that you're the one that were like, yeah, let's do this. Let's do this. I really was not expecting for you to be the one to let's do this because I'm gonna talk about whatever.
Well, that's something we'll dig through as we go. I'm sure there will be some moments. I listen. I'm
Yes.
excited uh, at the project. As I told you, this is. I don't want to prepare. I want to just come in and, like, you
Be us,
prepare, and it's just
right?
us chatting, and you steer the conversation as and not all of our podcasts will be like this where we're just freeballing it, I don't think, but we'll have specific things that we talk about. But I am looking forward to what that may open up between us in terms of, or just reminders of, like, um how we communicate. Not to How do I say it? Um, we talk all the time, of course, and we connect and communicate and have banter with one another all the time, and I love it. But it's because of the platform.
Hmm.
I'm just wondering if like there will be something different that comes out of it.
Yeah.
Um, because there's as much as we do communicate and discuss things, there's still there's still nuggets out there that we come across every now and then. And this is like a very dedicated, like, okay, we're going to sit here and talk
Hmm.
in front of a ring light and a camera and have microphones and we're going to record it. And, so there's a little bit of fear there, of course, that like, well, what if we come across something that I'm not comfortable talking about or blah, 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 like, I don't know, the unknown, but that's also always fueled me.
Yeah.
It's in my life. It's always been like, well, I don't know what it's going to be like at a big university, but I'm gonna go and I'm gonna see what happens. I don't know what it's gonna be like in, New York City, but I'm gonna just go and I'm gonna figure it out. And that goes to my like thinking I can
Hmm.
figure it out. That
Yeah.
um so
Well, and I think, um, I think just doing this is just like Brene Brown says, right? It takes, in order to have courage, you need vulnerability,
mm,
right? You can't be courageous without vulnerability. In order to put yourself out there in the first place, you need to be vulnerable, and this
mhm,
is what it is. And again, for me, this isn't about like, oh, let's air the dirty laundry or whatever. This is not what this is about for me. For me, even though, we've already started airing, right? But it's really more, like I said, it's just really about normalizing to people that it's work, and it is complex, and there's accountability that needs to take place, and intentionality and purposefulness. None of this happens uh by itself. I think everything that we do and that we've done is work, you
yeah.
know?
Well, and I'm interested to just listen. I tell you this all the time that I love that I'm constantly learning from you through your profession and through what you're focusing on and such. And I'm interested to hear uh, the different episodes because I haven't heard any of them yet.
I know.
And
They're so
to
good. I'm so excited.
and
I've had the most amazing guests.
and to,
Seriously.
and to see it just to further the conversations between us and learn about well what are they because I'm constantly learning from you and that's what keeps me it's one of the many things about you that keeps me engaged and constantly making that choice to 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 be in this with you this fun thing called life
Oh,
um
thank you.
but this will be just another avenue for us to push into unknown territory more unknown for me than you because a specific topic that came up in a podcast
Mhm.
with a guest or what have you, it's that's always interesting to me is to learn more and you're a great teacher.
Thank you. Thank you so much for saying all of that.
I like you.
I like you too. Jeez. I think we should go have a little toast, maybe make a little dinner together and
Mm,
talk about how this went.
make one of those meals.
Yeah, let's go make one of our well, I shouldn't say the name, right? Because then it would
No,
be
they
like
got a
sponsor
sponsor.
the oh
No, they got a
God. I don't
sponsor. We
know.
don't
We're
get
not
no free
we're not
advertising here.
you know what? It's Home Chef.
It's home
Okay.
chef.
I love them. I've been using them for years, whatever. Yeah, there's no sponsorship. It is what it is. I can send anybody a free box if you want. Thank you, Jonathan, for being here today. This has been so cool. I've literally really enjoyed this. Even more than I thought, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's
What about
good.
you?
Yeah, I
Was it
enjoyed it as well. It's I mean, it kind of went as I expected, but it's always fun to talk to you and
oh,
look forward to the next one if you'll have me again.
I will absolutely have you. And since you think I'm such a good teacher, why don't I go teach you to make dinner
Sure.
now
Yeah.
and we'll do that together.
Or I'll make you a drink and we can chat
Okay. Well,
while you
while
make
I make
dinner.
dinner, yeah. Okay, that's what I
Yeah,
thought.
I can come.
All right. Well, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. If it resonated with you, or if there's someone who you feel could benefit from hearing Jonathan and I banter today about our relationship, about life, please go ahead and share it. I look forward to seeing you at my next episode. And until next time, stay curious, stay connected, and stay emotionally wealthy. Thank you, and I'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, hey, quick reminder for you that this podcast is for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult a qualified professional with any questions you might have.